Well, if you're just joining us, we've got some breaking news out of Orange County, North Carolina, just outside of Chapel Hill and Raleigh, in Durham, I should say. Two Duke basketball players facing DWI-related charges. Michael Savarino, Coach Mike Krzyzewski's grandson, arrested for DWI on Sunday per court records obtained by the Raleigh News and Observer. Star freshman and projected NBA lottery pick Paolo Banchero has been charged with aiding and abetting DWI. Coach K issuing a statement this morning saying, quote, "We are reviewing all legal matters involving the two members of the men's basketball team. Any further actions as a result of this situation will ultimately be determined by the Vice President and Director of Athletics and university officials." Let's bring in college basketball insider Gary Parrish now. So, Gary, what are your thoughts here as we have some news, still awaiting a little bit more, hopefully, to unpack what really happened here. But what are your thoughts on what apparently transpired over the weekend and the news we're learning today?
It's obviously a disappointing development and something that will impact the Duke basketball program in a meaningful way because you would assume, and at this point it would only be an assumption, but you would assume that Paolo Banchero, who is Duke's clearly best player and a possible #1 pick in the 2022 NBA draft, you would assume he will be held out of at least a game and face some sort of suspension, if for nothing else, making a really poor choice. Obviously, for any of us, drinking and getting behind the wheel of a vehicle is a non-starter, or at least it should be. And getting into the car with somebody who has been drinking, it falls under the same umbrella. You would, particularly, when we've experienced what we've experienced in the sports world in recent weeks and months in college basketball. Gonzaga coach Mark Few faced a drinking and driving charge that cost him a one-game suspension, and then more tragically, a prominent NFL player not only ruined his life and football career, but ended somebody else's after he got behind the wheel of a vehicle following a night out drinking. And so you would hope, at least, that these stories would resonate and make everybody think a little harder before they make such a poor choice. But here we are, and so it'll be interesting to see what sort of punishment comes down. But when you've got Coach K's grandson driving, a future top 5 pick around North Carolina after drinking, on a Saturday night, it's obviously not a good look for anybody.
All right, so again, we're going to look at Michael Savarino, 20 years of age. Paolo Banchero is 19, so both are adults, but under the legal drinking limit, of course, an age limit there. And you referenced sort of what the severity of that might be, and we'll learn to have that, or hope to have that learned later today. There's something tied, whether on social media, and I had it with Matt Norlander, the aiding and abetting portion of it doesn't exactly tie that he had been drinking. We certainly don't know that, Gary, but is there going to be anything additionally tied to him in terms of his draft prospects down the road?
Well, this will be something that goes in the file, if you will. It's I don't want to make it out to be something other than what it is. But, Paolo did get into a vehicle with somebody who had been drinking and has been charged with a crime because of it. The crime itself is a bit unfamiliar to me, but the way it reads is that he is accused, at least, of asking or convincing his teammate to drive them wherever they were driving, even though he knew that the teammate had been drinking. And so, again, I don't want to make it out to be any worse than what it is, but what it clearly and undeniably is a poor choice. And when you are an NBA franchise and you are getting ready to invest literally millions of dollars into a young person, you want to know what type of choices that young person makes. Now, I should say that the background on Paolo is all terrific stuff. He comes from an incredible family. I've spent time with Paolo. I've spent time with his father. This is a young man who comes from great structure and a great background. So this might not be the red flag for him that it might be for somebody else, but absolutely, people who work in NBA front offices are going to want to know if he made this poor choice, what other poor choices might he make? Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I think it'll be the type of thing that prevents him from being the #1 pick in the draft, because I don't believe that at all. If we were drafting tonight, I would still draft him #1. But this is obviously not a good development.
And, of course, that is down the road. Before I let you go, Gary, just taking a look, of course, they have Gardner-Webb tonight. There is a schedule that includes #1 Gonzaga down the road just after Thanksgiving. How do you anticipate Coach K will handle his team and how the team will respond here with the slate that they have coming up ahead of them?
Well, we'll see what the punishment looks like. There's nothing in those next 3 games that should be complicated for a program at the level at Duke, even if Paulo Banchero is not involved. But obviously, if you're going to, try to compete with the #1 team in America, Gonzaga, you need to be at full strength. And keep in mind, Tommy, Duke's other projected lottery pick, A.J. Griffin, is recovering from an injury that has allowed him to play, but he's still trying to find his rhythm and still trying to get back to where he was pre-injury, and he's not there yet. And so again, they should be able to get through these next 3 regardless of whether Paulo's there or not. And he might be there. Again, we're waiting on the punishment, but if you're going to try to knock off the #1 team in America, in Las Vegas on a neutral court, you probably need to be at full strength. So it'll be interesting to find out what Duke's administration does in the way of punishment here, because if it's anything, under 4 games, Duke should be fine. But if it reaches that 4-game threshold, then that means he will not play against Gonzaga, and that makes a difficult task even that much more difficult.
Gary Parrish there joining us with the breaking news out of Duke University. Gary, certainly appreciated. Gary, by the way, on the road, calling a CBS Sports Network game, North Carolina and Charleston later tonight. Both of our guys, Gary Parrish and Matt Norlander, the co-hosts of the Eye on College Basketball podcast. Make sure you download and follow the guys today.